Cell phones off, please. Good morning, and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, Saxe, this March 2022, the first day of spring. Let's take a deep breath together. Inhaling and exhaling fully. Breathing in again, breathing in love, light, joy, peace, harmony, and exhaling that out into the world. Knowing that breath is life and life is breath. Not just the physical breath, but the breath that represents spirit, that animates us, strengthens us, is the source of all of our power and wisdom. And so we just rest here in this place with an awareness of our hearts, focused on our breath. Just letting our thoughts run through our minds, endeavoring not to be attached to any particular one thought. Just notice what we're noticing. Knowing that we are not our thoughts, but we are the watcher of our thoughts. And we know that our thoughts create our experiences of life. And so we fill our thoughts with peace and love. Our thoughts are of harmony and unity, of goodness, charity, prosperity. We let go of everything that is out of alignment with the fruits of the Spirit. For they are contrary to what we are, which is love at its purest form. We are goodness and light. Each of us endowed with very special gifts with which we bless the world. And so we just allow ourselves to be in this goodness. We claim it. We embrace it. And we radiate it to everyone we meet. And out to every sentient being upon this planet. This great, big, glorious, beautiful planet on which we live. And so it is from here, from this place, that we sing our centering song, Spirit's Prayer. Together. Loving Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without. All I need is here and now. Where there's error, let me love. May I have no fear. All the power, all the glory, I surrender, let it be. Loving Spirit dwells in me, now and evermore. Loving Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without. All I need is here and now. Let me love. May I have no fear. All the power, all the glory, I surrender, let it be. Loving Spirit dwells in me, now and evermore. This is the prayer to the four directions by Chief Seattle, leader of the Suquamish and Duwamish Native American tribes. Great Spirit of light, come to me out of the east with the power of the rising sun. Let there be light in my words. Let there be light on my path that I walk. Let me remember always that you give the gift of a new day, and never let me be burdened with sorrow by not starting over again. Great Spirit of love, come to me with the power of the north. Make me courageous when the cold wind falls upon me. Give me strength and endurance for everything that is harsh, everything that hurts, everything that makes me squint. Let me move through life ready to take what comes from the north. Great life-giving Spirit, I face the west, the direction of sundown. Let me remember every day that the moment will come when my sun will go down. Never let me forget that I must fade into you. Give me a beautiful color. Give me a great sky for setting, so that when it is my time to meet you, I can come with glory. Great Spirit of creation, send me the warm and soothing winds from the south. Comfort me and caress me when I am tired and cold. Unfold me like the gentle breezes that unfold the leaves on the trees. As you give to all the earth your warm, moving wind, give to me so that I may grow close to you in warmth. Man did not create the web of life. He is but a strand in it. Whatever man does to the web, he does to himself.
Good morning. The inspirational moment is The Secret of Ages by Robert Clare, and the word is creativity. You have a mind. You can originate thought, and thoughts are creative. Therefore, you can create for yourself that which you desire. Once you realize this, you are taking a long step towards success in whatever undertaking you have in mind. More than half the prophecies in the scriptures refer to the time when man shall possess the earth, when tears and sorrow shall be unknown, and peace and plenty shall be everywhere. That time will come. It is nearer than most people think possible. You are helping it along. Every man who is honestly trying to use the power of mind in the right way is doing his part in the great cause. For it is only through mind that peace and plenty can be gained. The earth is laden with treasures as yet undiscovered, but they are every one of them known to the universal mind. For it was universal mind that first imagined them there. And as part of universal mind, they can be known to you. And the affirmation is, if you'll repeat it with me 3 times, I contribute to peace and plenty for humanity when my consciousness is one of peace and plenty. I contribute to peace and plenty for humanity when my consciousness is one of peace and plenty. I contribute to peace and plenty for humanity when my consciousness is one of peace and plenty. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Let's envision peace. This is one of my favorite songs. I'm going to dedicate it to Kim. It's by Sting. So, and I just love the words to this. If blood would flow, when flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun, tomorrow's rain will wash the stains away, but something in our minds will always stay. Perhaps this final act was meant to clench a lifetime's argument, that nothing comes from violence and nothing ever could. For those born beneath an angry star, lest we see how fragile we are. And on the rain will fall like tears from a star, like tears from a star. And on and on and on, the rain will say how fragile we are, how fragile we are. like tears from a star, like tears from a star. And on and on and on the rain will say how fragile we are, how fragile we are. If blood will flow when flesh and steel are one, drying in the color of the evening sun. Tomorrow's rain may wash the stain away, but something in our minds will always stay. And perhaps this final act was meant to clench a lifetime's argument that nothing comes from violence and nothing ever could. For all those born beneath an angry star, lest we see how fragile we are. And on the rain will fall like tears from a star, like tears from a star. And on and on and on the rain will say how fragile we are, how fragile we are. And on and on the rain will say how fragile we are, how fragile we are. Ba-da-da-da-dum, da-dum, da-dum, da-da-dum. Ba-da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dum, ba-dum-dum-dum. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum, dwee-dum, 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 on and on, oh, on and on the rain will say how fragile we are, how fragile we are, how fragile we are.
I love that I get to witness your magic. I just do. I do. Cardis Wilcox grew up in a very close-knit family where they talked about their day and their dreams and life and at the dinner table, and had a mother who taught him all about right and wrong and values and principles. And somewhere along the line, Cardis realized that there are people who had more than he grew up with. That even though they had a loving, close-knit home, they were quite poor. And so he experienced life, full refrigerators, cabinets filled with groceries and food at other people's houses. And he knew that he wanted that and didn't know how to get that. And at some point, he turned to a life of crime because that's what he thought was his entrance into that kind of life. He started stealing and then gambling. He was selling weed as a young man. And he said in this interview I heard on a podcast, one of my favorite podcasts, that as he started to get into a life of crime, he noticed that pieces of himself began to get chipped away. And that in order for him to continue a life of crime, he had to stop thinking about other people. He had to stop caring about their feelings. And in the process, he lost his own humanity as he tore away the humanity of others as he was living this life of crime. At some point, he committed two very heinous acts which landed him in maximum security prison. And he was sentenced to 2 life sentences, 15 to life. And he said on his way in the bus to the prison that first day, he knew that he didn't want to do hard time. He said, I can't wake up every morning thinking and dreaming about freedom because I'm most likely going to die here. So I don't want to torture myself and think about freedom. His first day in prison, he also witnessed another prisoner being subjected to a very humiliating act. And he looked at that and he said, that will never be me. That will never be me. I will never let anyone in this place subjugate me. I will never be humiliated by anyone. So for a year, he studied the people there, who had power, who did not have power, how they got that power, how they kept that power. And then he eventually began selling drugs in prison. He found somebody who would smuggle them in, and then he would sell them, creating a power structure for himself that left him untouchable, but always gave him power. He created a structure where there were people, many people who were indebted to him, because as long as people were indebted to you in prison, you have a certain level of power over them. So he lived like this for many years, having this power, wielding it, empowered. And because he was violent and committed other violent acts, he often ended up in the hole, in segregation. Cardis's mother loved to visit him, and he loved when she came to see him. And when he ended up in the hole, you don't have visitors. During one last visit before he was in the hole for a long stretch, she came and told him that she was just diagnosed with breast cancer and that she was given 6 months to live. And he ended up in the hole. He knew he wasn't going to be able to see her, and he knew she was probably going to pass away while he was locked up. And then that day did come when he was in segregation, and the chaplain came to his door and said, your mother is gone. Your mother's dead. And he got angry at this because now he's living a life where everything that he does is somebody else's fault. He took no accountability, had no accountability for his actions or his thoughts. And so he knew then that after he got this news that in order for me to deal with this anger, I have to hurt somebody else. And so when a guard was passing his cell to go talk to his neighboring prisoner, he decided that he was going to start an argument, and he did. And the guard came up close to the door, and as some prisoners, when they lash out, there's often nothing to do but to, it's hard to say out loud, but it's often how many people live, is they throw feces or urine on guards. It's a way to humiliate them and to strike back and to hurt. And so he did that with this particular guard, and then a number of other guards decided, we're going to make you pay for that. And so he was getting ready to get beaten down by a number of guards here in segregation. But anytime you open up a cell in segregation, you have to have a sergeant's permission. And so a sergeant ended up coming down and stopped what was about to happen. And he talked to Cardis, and he said, you know, your family wants to talk to you. And if what I think is getting ready to happen happens, that's not going to be possible. And so you have to make a choice about what you want. But I'll make it possible for you to talk to your family, and he did. So one man showed him compassion. He was able to talk to his family about his mother's passing. When he went back to his cell, he said he thought for a minute. He said, I often told my mother I loved her, but I never showed her that. He knew he caused her a lot of pain in her life. The crime he committed in being locked up, the crimes he committed in prison, ending up in the hole, and her not being able to see him caused her terrible pain. And he vowed then and there that I will never, ever cause someone else pain if I can help it. And if I say I love someone, I have to mean it, and I have to do that. I have to do that. His mother's passing was a moment of transformation for him. And he said, I stood in that cell 23 hours a day with only myself and looked squarely at who I am. And he said he didn't like what he saw. He said, I'm violent. I don't care about anyone. I've lost my humanity, and I refuse to live like this anymore. I refuse to cause people pain. And so he changed. He changed. He said he vowed then that he would care. And the interviewer asked him, what did that mean to you? How did that change you? And he said, for the first time, I felt love for other people and love for myself. And love for myself. And he said, and tell me more about that. And Cardis said, it felt natural. Love felt natural. Like it was who he always was. Who he always was. And every other act, every act of violence, every act of hate, every time I did not care for someone, every time I said I love you but did not show it, every time I was out of alignment with my words, was contrary to who I am as a person. I was out of alignment with who I am, with what I am. And in that moment, I regained my humanity. Cardis knew he didn't want to die in prison. And so he started to think about, how do I change this? Because he had a parole hearing coming up. And he said he kind of laughed before the hearing because he said, this is a farce. They're really not going to listen to me. And this is all about redemption. Why would they look at me and think about redemption? And they did. They gave him 10 more years and said, no, you can't parole you now. We're going to give you 10 more years. And he said he was thankful for it because it gave him a chance to change his life. So that there was no farce, because he said he was the farce in the room, not the process. And so he decided to give up selling drugs in prison. Every debt that everyone owed him, every prisoner that owed him something, he told them it was wiped out. You owe me nothing. He had an illegal cell phone. He gave it away. He said, everything I gained by selling drugs in prison, I gave away, whether it was food, snacks, cigarettes, whatever it was. He gave it all away, and he started over. Within 2 months, he was transferred to a better prison. He went from a level 4 to a level 3. And then he decided to volunteer for hospice because he saw that people who volunteered for hospice ended up getting paroled. But he decided, I'm going to go in and do this job, but I'm not going to allow myself, my heart to be open because I don't want to be hurt. And soon after that, his sister came to visit, and she said, I've been diagnosed with cancer. And here he is locked away. He said, I can do nothing for her. I can't help her. I don't know that she'll be alive when I'm released. And so I'm going to give to every hospice patient what I can't give to my sister. And he opened up and let them in. And he said, yes, it hurt. Everyone that died broke my heart. But I had my humanity back. And that felt good. That felt good. He was transferred then to another prison, which to him, he said, felt like Disneyland compared to where he had been. And eventually he met the man who was interviewing him, Elder Jackson, who runs the podcast for Inside Circle. This is what he said. About his life then. Elder asked him, what are you proud of now? Now that he's been released, he's been paroled. He said, number one, I'm proud that I was willing to change and took an active part in my transformation. He said, I am proud that I treat people like I want to be treated. I am proud that I have love in my heart for everyone. I actually love people now. I am happy that I do what I say I'm going to do. That my words have meaning. That when I say I love you, I do love. I do love. He now surrounds himself with people who want what he wants. Freedom, joy, peace, love. When he was asked, what advice would you have for others? He said that your actions would match your words. That you actually will love like I have learned to love. This is his mission statement. My mission today is to continue polishing the light I now walk in, illuminating its glow to that which it is intended. My mission today is to continue polishing the light I now walk in, illuminating its glow to that which it is intended. Cardis Wilcox, 25 plus years in a maximum security prison, now shining his light, loving, giving, vulnerable, open. When I first started listening to the podcast, I've listened to it 3 times now. When I first started listening to that episode, I kind of got annoyed because his voice was very soft. And I was trying to listen to it while I was driving. And I could hear the interviewer, but I could barely hear him. And I kept thinking, why didn't he just speak up? But the second time I listened to the podcast, what I heard was that Cardis was feeling every word he uttered. You could hear his voice break when he talked about what he was proud of. You could hear his voice break when he talked about the transformation he experienced after his mother died. There's so many things we can learn from Cardis in that interview. One of them being Unity's fifth principle, which is that it's not enough to just know principle, you have to live principle. Cardis figured that out. That it's not enough for me to say I love you, I have to mean I love you. And you have to see me acting out love with you, or everything I've just said is meaningless. Cardis learned that the small things mattered when he saw on that first day in that one prisoner being humiliated by other prisoners. He said that just didn't happen by itself. That is not something, that is a singular act. There were small incidences where when the prisoners involved were engaged in something transactional, and the prisoner who was humiliated went through some small yeses, or that's okay for you to subjugate me here, and then it gets bigger, and it gets bigger, and it gets bigger. The small things matter. Small things matter, because then they become big things. And he knows that that prisoner was between a rock and a hard place. That it meant if I don't do what these other prisoners say, I could either be killed or I can go ahead and be humiliated. They're going to get what they want one way or the other. So he's between a rock and a hard place. But Cardis knew that he still had a choice. And that maybe in the early stages, when it's a small thing, that we stand up for who we are. That we stand up for who we are. That we know who and what we are in each instance. And that we have a choice. We have a choice. We teach people how to treat us. He said he would treat people the way he wanted to be treated. That's the ultimate law of Scripture, from Scripture. Love your neighbor as yourself. Not love your neighbor as you love yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Each one of you, you are me. And the way I treat you is the way I treat me. The way I treat me is the way I treat you. I can't hurt myself or you without there being a consequence for both of us. When I hurt you, I'm not just hurting you, I'm hurting myself. And there lies our humanity. There lies our humanity. And by serving up our humanity, we are out of alignment with our dignity, our divinity. They go hand in hand. Our humanity is interlocked with our divinity. Therein lies our dignity. Every negative thought you have about another has a consequence in the universe. And it has a consequence for you. We're kidding ourselves if we think the things that we say and perpetrate against someone else don't have personal consequences, because they do. They do. And Cardis learned that the hard way. The hard way. So here he is, probably for me right now, the ultimate inspiration about how to love yourself and others. It's all a choice. We make choices every single second about how we're loving ourselves and others. Every single second. Every thought you have about yourself is a way that you love yourself. How much do you love yourself? When you look in the mirror, you know that funny woo-woo exercise where they tell you to stare at yourself in the mirror and really look deep in your eyes? I always hated that exercise. There was massive eye rolling for me before I looked myself in the mirror like that. But if you can do it, and look deeply, and look long and hard, and love what you see, then you can extend that to others. Many of us would probably look at Cardis and think him hardened. And he was. He said, I lost my humanity. And yet, he has the same core we all do. We are all love. We are all goodness. We are all here to discover the depth of our own humanity and the depth of humanity of every other being on this planet. And if there's ever going to be love, if there's ever going to be world peace, we have to be willing to see each other that way. That was the first thing he said I'm proudest of. That I am willing to change and transform. Gotta be open. If you don't crack the door, nothing can come through. Now I know why he spoke so softly. And I imagine there are parts now of him that are very soft and vulnerable. Places he didn't know he had within him when he was living a life of crime. Attempting to take other people's lives. How hard are you willing to love? How open are you willing to be? To love yourself, to love others. How willing are you? How open are you to find true peace within you? Cardis Wilcox is a man at peace. At peace. Now he has true freedom. He said that's all he wanted was freedom. Freedom to determine his own life. And before that meant having money. Money was all important to him, he said. And now it's not the be-all and end-all. Now he makes a living. Now he's shining his light. Shining his light. And looking to shine it more brightly every single day. What if each of us was willing to shine our light more brightly every single day. I tell you all the time, whatever it is you've got now is the tip of the iceberg, because that is the nature of spirit, which is creative in nature. It always expands, always. Always. There's always more. You can always go deeper. There's always room for expansion. Perhaps even beyond the physical plane. I don't know what happens because I haven't been there. Or if I have, I don't remember. Perhaps even beyond the physical plane. So as we think about the world and we think about what it needs and we think about how much we want peace, how much we want harmony, how much we want unity, we must think about what it is we're thinking, saying, and doing in our own lives that is contrary to that. All of it has a ripple effect throughout the universe. And what Pete read to us earlier was that because we are one with universal mind, we have access to everything in universal mind. If you don't know what expansion looks like, ask. And the answer will be given. If you don't know what your next step is, ask. And the next step will be provided. If you don't know what love looks like tomorrow, in expansion, ask, and you will know what love looks like. I am thankful for Cardis Wilcox. I will probably listen to that again. Because it was steeped in wisdom. Steeped in wisdom. And probably the most important thing I learned from him was that we can learn something from everybody. Everyone has something to teach us. We just have to be willing to ask for the stories, to understand, to open our minds, step away from judgment and get to understanding, and listen to the people who are brought into our lives, whether face-to-face or via podcast. It all lays before us. We just have to be willing to open the door. Let's take this in a meditation. So let's just breathe deeply. Giving thanks for our humanity. Giving thanks for the opportunity to grow, to transform, to redeem ourselves. To be the things we are called to be. To do the things we are called to do. We give thanks for the opportunity to dream. We give thanks for infinite possibilities for love and for life. And so we just breathe in. Breathe in and let it all sink in. And in this moment, call to mind something you need to heal. A relationship, something within yourself. That you've been thinking about changing, something that keeps coming up for you. Perhaps it's some way you've been playing small. Perhaps it's negative self-talk you need to cease and desist. Perhaps you have been running from your gifts, running from opportunities to love and love more deeply, more openly. Whether it is loving yourself or someone else. And so we say yes and thank you for life. Yes and thank you for choice. Yes and thank you for a new day, another moment to live life according to our dreams. Another day to be the master of our own fate. Another day, another opportunity to be all that we can be. And to love and express through our divinity. Our innate core of goodness. Our innate core that is love. That is love. That is love. And so it is. And so it shall be. So it is from this place of power and strength and grace and goodness that we offer up the names of those for whom we want to pray.
New baby Lucy and her parents and siblings.
For Jesslyn and family and Jan. For the Chavez family. For Melissa. For Neil. PJ and Melinda. Reba and Eddie. for all those who are incarcerated, for the people of Ukraine and Russia, for all areas of this planet where there is conflict and strife. For these beloved souls and those we have not named but who live in our hearts and in our minds as we go about our daily living. We know that the all good is at work in their lives. And so we now stand in that love and in that light for them and with them, affirming that all is well. All is well. Amen. And now we recite our offertory prayer together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all the good that I am and have, all the good that I give and receive, and so it is.
So as I always say, I really don't know what Kim is going to be speaking about, so I choose my songs. I have a plan for what I'm going to do, but it will change. And I know I've done this song quite a bit here, but this is my signature song and my mantra for life, and I just felt called to sing it. We are all just mirrors in your faces. I see clearer than I've ever seen before. The heart is where to live from, to give all you can give from. This is what I truly know for sure. I said love, 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 love. I'm tired of all this anger and my own unkind behavior. Who am I to judge anyone at all? 'Cause if I look into you, I can see the pain you've been through. And I know 'cause I've felt the same way that you do. And love is what we're here for, to give and give more. Love. And love is what we're here for, to give and give more. Love, 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 love. Oh. I said a sweet love, love. And I am an instrument of my peace. I am an instrument of my love. I said love, love, love. And I am an instrument of my peace. I am an instrument of my love. I said love, oh love, oh love. And I am an instrument of my peace. I said I am an instrument of my love. I said love, 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 love. And I am an instrument of my peace. I said I am an instrument of my love. I said love, oh love, oh love. I said love, oh love, oh love. I said love, oh love, oh love. And love is what we're here for, to give and get more, more. Love, sweet love, sweet love is what we're here for, to give and get more, more. Love, I say love, I love, love, oh sweet love. Love, 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 love. Sing along with me. I don't care what tune you sing. Love, 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 and love, love, oh love, oh love.
We give thanks for all of the time, treasure, and talent that overflows into this community, helping us to spread a message of peace, love, joy, harmony, unity, and prosperity. We know that we are given all things, and by our thoughts we create our experiences. And yes, there are thoughts of love and peace and joy in this place, in this house. And we are overflowing with each and every one of those gifts. Amen. So I just have the one slide. We just have one announcement. So this Sunday coming is the Gathering for Peace. We're switching from Saturday to Sunday. So 1 p.m. here. And for those of you who are here at service and decide to stay, we're providing lunch. So we need to know if you're going to be there so we know how much food to get. Okay, we're going to do a box lunch from Panera again. So please let me know by March 23rd, which is, I think, Wednesday. And let me know if you're going to be here for the Gathering for Peace. And if you haven't been to one yet, we have meditation for peace, for personal peace, peace in the world. Robin is here and does more of her magic and helping us build an experience in the room. And it's the best hour and a half you can have, but to really give your mind, body, spirit, and heart some respite and a feeling and experience of peace so we can go out in the world and spread love and peace and radiate that to every sentient being on the planet. So 1 p.m. next Sunday. You're free just to show up at 1 p.m. if that's what you would like to do. But please let me know if you're going to want lunch, and I need to know by Wednesday afternoon. And are you going to sing it again? Are you surprising us?
No, that's not a surprise.
Can we have? Can we do the mission and vision first?
All right. I'm going to tell you, I am just so happy to be at this center and with all you people. It's just, oh my God, I just want to jump up and down, really, and just what a blessing. So if you guys will join me in our vision and mission. We are Unity Spiritual Center Saxe. We are a thriving global community of spiritual seekers transforming lives through love and the expression of our innately divine gifts. Our mission is to inspire spiritual and personal growth through the teachings and demonstrations of unity principles towards the realization of living our best lives. Divine wisdom is at work in every area of our lives right now, and everything is always working out for us. Woo!
Be the peace you want to see. Share your peace with everyone you meet. Let it begin. You want to see. Share that love with everyone you meet. Let it begin. Let it begin with you. Share the peace. Share your joy, share your love. Let it begin, let it begin, let it begin with you. Let it begin. Let it begin with you and me.
Thank you for joining us this morning. It's your love, your presence, your goodness, and the gifts that you are that makes this the absolutely best place to be. Thank you for joining us online, and we hope to see you next Sunday. Have a glorious day, a glorious week. Namaste.